If you grew up as the black sheep or the scapegoat in your family, you likely spent most of your life believing something was wrong with you. You were labeled as too sensitive, too difficult, too dramatic, or the one who just could not adjust. But psychology tells a very different story. In dysfunctional family systems, the person singled out as the problem is, almost without exception, the most psychologically healthy person present. You were not pushed aside because you were flawed. You were pushed aside because you reflected truths your family did not want to face. Family systems theory calls you the identified patient. Evolutionary biology has another term, the evolutionary scout. You are the one designed to disrupt the pattern. And if you have spent years feeling like you never belonged, questioning why you always felt different, it is because you developed 10 rare psychological strengths as a direct result of surviving that environment. Before we explore those gifts, it is important to understand the conditions that shape them. Being the black sheep is not simply about being different, it is about being a disruption. Psychology often compares families to a mobile, a hanging structure where every piece must stay balanced. In rigid or toxic families, the priority is not growth or truth, it is stability. Everything must stay exactly the same. When you arrive with your curiosity, your emotional awareness, and your insistence on honesty, you threatened that balance. You became the scapegoat not because you were wrong, but because the family needed somewhere to dump their unresolved pain. You became the container for what they refused to process. You carried the shadow so they did not have to look at it, and while this caused deep wounds of loneliness and abandonment, it also forced your mind to develop differently. You did not wire your brain for compliance. You wired it for transformation. Here are the 10 rare gifts you carry because you refuse to disappear. The first gift is an intolerance for cognitive dissonance. Many families live by an unspoken rule. We pretend everything is fine. Mom is breaking down. Dad is angry. Tension fills the house. But at the dinner table, everyone smiles. This creates cognitive dissonance, the clash between what you perceive and what you are told is real. Most children learn to suppress their awareness to stay safe. They accept the lie. You cannot. Psychologists would call you a truth teller. Your nervous system reacts strongly to inauthenticity. When something is off, you feel it physically. You may have been accused of being confrontational or dramatic, but you were simply naming reality. As an adult, this gift makes you resistant to gaslighting. You can walk into workplaces, relationships, or social settings and immediately sense who is genuine and who is pretending. You are the early warning system, the one who notices danger before others do. But noticing the truth does not explain why you carried such a heavy emotional load. That brings us to gift number 2. You are an ancestral alchemist. Epigenetic research shows that trauma can be passed down through generations. The anxiety you feel, the tightness in your chest, the weight you carry may not have started with you, but you are the one who decided it would end with you. You are often the first to seek therapy, read deeply, question patterns, and try to heal. Consciously or not, you volunteered to process the pain your ancestors avoided. You are not just living a life. You are transforming your lineage. You are turning inherited trauma into insight and wisdom. This leads directly to gift number 3, which was often mistaken for a flaw, high sensory intelligence. You were probably told you were too emotional or overly sensitive. Psychology refers to this as sensory processing sensitivity. Your nervous system takes in more information than most. In a chaotic household, this was overwhelming. You absorbed moods, tension, unspoken emotions. You became hyper-aware. But this is not weakness. You can read micro-expressions. You sense shifts in emotional energy before words are spoken. In evolutionary terms, this trait belonged to the watchman, the one who sensed threats early. Your sensitivity is advanced perception. It makes you a powerful healer, leader, and ally. Sensitivity, however, often produces strength. Gift number 4 is justice. Sensitivity. As black sheep, you likely have a deep, physical reaction to unfairness. You cannot tolerate bullying or abuse of power. This comes from knowing what it feels like to be powerless. Studies show that people who experience early adversity often develop a strong willingness to stand up for what is right, even at personal cost, while others stay silent to remain comfortable. You intervene. You speak up. You protect. Your moral compass stays steady even when the world tries to spin it off course. This moral clarity often turns you into something unexpected. Gift number 5 is that you are a reluctant leader. You never wanted control. You just wanted safety. But because you learned to think independently, you developed autonomy. Many people will follow harmful systems simply to avoid being alone. You have already survived isolation. That makes you difficult to manipulate. You lead not for approval, but because you see a better path. You influence through integrity, not dominance. You do not need the crowd's permission, because you learn to trust yourself. To lead well, you must know who to trust, which brings us to gift number 6, detecting hidden motives. As the scapegoat, you learned early that words can conceal intentions. "I care about you" did not always mean safety. Because of this, you developed sharp pattern recognition. You listen beyond words. You observe behavior. You may be slow to trust, but this is not fear. It is discernment. You can identify manipulators quickly and avoid years of damage. When you do give trust, it is deep and unwavering. This discernment often results in solitude. Gift number 7 is your capacity to be alone. Whether through exclusion or self-protection, you spent time on the margins. In that quiet, you discovered your inner world. While others rely on noise and validation, you can sit with yourself. Creativity, philosophy, and spiritual depth are born in solitude. You are not empty. You are internally anchored. You carry your sense of home within you. That inner life led to gift number 8, the seeker's mindset. You question everything. You are drawn to psychology, spirituality, healing, and meaning because the explanations you were given never made sense. Black sheep are almost always the ones who outgrow the belief systems they were raised in. You explore, expand, and search for truth. Pain forced you to wake up. Comfort would have kept you asleep. Because you questioned everything, you lost the ability to pretend. Gift number 9 is radical authenticity. When you stop trying to please people, determined to misunderstand you, you become free. You no longer tolerate shallow connections or false interactions. You crave depth and honesty. You would rather have one meaningful conversation than dozens of empty ones. This authenticity draws others who value truth. You find your people by being real. Finally, the gift that unites them all. Gift number 10, the wounded healer. Carl Jung described this archetype as someone whose strength emerges from their pain. Because you have known rejection, confusion, and loneliness, you know how to guide others through it. You do not minimize suffering. You sit with it. You understand darkness, so you know how to lead others toward light. Your life proves that trauma does not have to end the story. It can begin something powerful. They called you the black sheep because you did not blend in. But sheep follow without question. You were never meant to follow. You were something else entirely, trying to survive in a place that could not hold you. You did not break the family. The family was already broken, and you were brave enough to see it. Free War, the cycle breaker. Leave a heart or a star in the comments so others know they are not alone.